Hello, beautiful homemakers. We're continuing Chapter 4 of Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood. I will back up a few sentences. Now, are we all ready for the first secret? This first secret needs to be lived before you will see real results from living secrets 2, 3, and 4. This first secret is so important, it will probably be the most challenging of the whole 10. She turned to the whiteboard and picking up a felt pen, she wrote, Secret number 1. Accept him as he is. Look to his good side. Then, turning back to the class, she said, This secret is your man's second most important need. We learn his first most important need next week. But his second most important need is for you to accept him as he is and not try to change him. I repeat, your husband's second most important need is for you to accept him as he is and not try to change him. Accepting him as he is means that you accept all his habits, his weaknesses, his dreams or lack of them, and his beliefs. You accept him as another human being, part good, part bad, just like yourself. We women try and change our husbands, but they don't change. It's a very common fault with us women. Cherry, the blonde, robust young woman, raised her hand. Yes, Cherry? You say we shouldn't try and change our husbands, but I love my husband and only try and change him for his own good, for his own happiness. That can't be wrong, can it? Cherry, trying to force a man to change always creates problems. It just doesn't work with men. Yes, a man may give in to our persistence, just to keep the peace. But he hasn't really changed, not inside. And we pay a high price for having things our own way. He becomes resentful and cool and withdraws much of his love. Why is this so? Because by trying to change and improve our husband, we are telling him that we are not satisfied with him as he is. His sensitive male pride is wounded. He knows his weaknesses, but he needs you to admire his strengths, not to draw attention to his weaknesses. Your husband needs your admiration like you need his love. When you try and change him, he feels just as you would feel if he told you outright to your face that he didn't love you anymore. That's why men sometimes become angry for what seems a trivial reason to you. They may go out and slam the door and not speak to you for hours. The quieter ones just clam up. As we said before, men are very different from women. No, trying to change a man does not work. It lessens his love for you. It saps his self-confidence and his manhood. He may even feel unworthy of you. It also breeds resentment. Elsie, the elderly woman, raised her hand and said, Yes, that is so true. There's an old saying, if his mother couldn't change him, what makes you think you can? Yes, Elsie, it just plain doesn't work. The more you pressure him, the more he resists changing. That's the way men are. We have just got to accept it. When we try and change our husband, he will tend to spend more time away from home. He will seek out the company of those who do accept him. Perhaps at the place he works or with his mates. Sometimes with another woman. Or he may just close himself off from you in front of the TV or a computer. He will also tend to become critical towards you, or cold, or hardly speak to you at all. Angela squirmed as she tried to rationalize the guilt she felt welling up inside her. She had never accepted Ted's lack of education, especially his terrible spelling and poor reading ability. Surely as a school teacher she had a duty to help him. Sonia, the young woman with the mousy-colored hair, shyly raised her hand and asked a question. "But will my partner improve if I accept him as he is?" "Almost certainly, Sonia. That's just about the only way he will ever improve. Miracles happen when a man feels fully accepted by the woman he loves. Real change only comes from within. It must be his idea. He must want to do it for you. Remember, he knows his own faults. The more a man loves you, the more he will want to please you. A man will go to unbelievable lengths to please a woman he loves." The famous and beautiful Taj Mahal in India was built by an emperor as a memorial to his favorite wife, Mumtaz. He loved her dearly. She bore him 14 children, and he wept bitterly when she died. He also built her a magnificent white marble palace while she was alive. We too can arouse these noble and gallant feelings in our men, but we must change ourselves first. Bev, the woman with the ginger-orange hair, raised her hand. "Yes, Beverly?" "Call me Bev. Everyone does. Can we go back to this accepting thing? My husband's got this chronic drinking problem. Why should I accept that? He spends a small fortune each week on his beer and won't lift a finger to help me around the house. He sits glued to his TV sports all weekend. Why should I accept that?" Angela sensed desperation in Bev's gravelly voice. "I've got a TV sports addict, too," said another woman, and several others spoke. The teacher smiled and held up her hand for silence. "Before we get too self-righteous and critical about our husbands, let's take a good look at ourselves. Are we that perfect? All right, some of us would like our husbands to give up their drinking, their TV sport, and other habits. But what about our chocolate? What about our cakes and biscuits, our tea and coffee, our fizzy drinks? How easily could we give them up? And how successful are we at keeping to our diets and TV sports? How many of us are addicted to our soap operas? And lazy husbands? What time do we get out of bed in the mornings when left to ourselves? Even swearing and violence. Have we ever screamed at our children or hit them in anger? Often the faults that annoy us most in our husbands are the same ones we have ourselves. One of the most useful lessons we can learn in life is to stop blaming other people for our own problems and weaknesses. We can only begin to change ourselves when we accept responsibility for our own problems. Yes, I know our men do lots of things that annoy us. They work late without letting us know. They walk mud onto the floor. They leave their clothes lying around. They leave their socks on the floor. Every man does that. Their faces are prickly. They sometimes reek of BO, and they often don't come to meals when we call them. And they leave the toilet seat up, said Cherry with a giggle, and the class laughed. Yes, Cherry, that one always comes up. Even so, we must accept our man as he is. We must forgive him and look to his good side. Diane, the thin woman in dark clothes, raised her hand hesitantly. Diane, you have a question? Diane's thin voice was emotional and wavery as she spoke. My first husband was unfaithful to me with another woman, and my present husband was too 3 years ago. I can never forgive either of them for that. And she broke down, sobbing. The teacher moved quickly to Diane's side and put her arm tenderly around her and comforted her. Then she said to her gently, Diane, the secrets we learn in this course have reunited thousands of couples who have gone through this heartbreaking experience. The teacher walked back to the front of the class. paused, and then spoke in a solemn voice. A woman must expect two things in marriage: fidelity and financial support. Let's deal first with fidelity. You cannot compromise your self-respect by living with a husband who continues to be unfaithful to you. It will lead to emotional and physical ill health. If it is happening, this is what I suggest you do in all sincerity. First, be humble enough to face your part in the problem. Ask yourself, what did I do or fail to do that laid the foundation for my husband becoming involved with another woman? You will more clearly understand this when you have completed the course. Correcting these mistakes will normally win him back, even in difficult cases. But if he persists, you must tell him to make a choice, or you will leave him. And be prepared to keep your word. That is the only thing you can do that will eventually bring him to his senses. The same applies to a husband who will not support you financially. These are the two God-given rights that every woman must expect from her husband. And provided you have faithfully done your part as a wife, God will support you in standing up for these two rights. Angela felt thankful that Ted had never been involved with another woman, at least as far as she knew. Even if your husband has failed you in these two areas in the past, forgive him now in your heart while you put FW into action. I can't, blurted out Diane, still sobbing. You just don't know how much it hurts. Only forgiving him will ease the hurt, Diane. It may be the most difficult thing you will ever do, but the Bible says, as you sow, so shall you reap. This first law of fascinating womanhood asks that you first sow seeds of forgiveness. Then, in the years ahead, you can reap lifelong love and tenderness from your husband. But we must accept our husbands fully, and we must forgive them fully in our hearts for all their past mistakes. No man can love a sullen, resentful wife. Now please, listen to me carefully. This is very, very important. Some of you, maybe all of you, harbor resentment in your heart towards your husband because of ways he has hurt you in the past. Perhaps very severe hurt, as Diane has experienced. That resentment is crowding out your love. Let it go. Drain away the poison by forgiving him. You may need to kneel down humbly before God and ask for his help. But release the resentment. Forgive him. His current way of treating you may be the result of unhappy boyhood experiences when he was just a child. When you release your resentment, love will flow back into your heart. Only then can FW create for you the beautiful marriage of your dreams. The teacher picked up a little statue of a man and held it up. One side was painted a dark drab gray, and the other side was pure white. She slowly turned the gray side away from the class until only the white side could be seen. From now on, we only look to our husband's good side, just like this little statue. The dark gray side represents our man's faults, and the white side, his virtues, his good side. Some of you might be thinking, my husband doesn't have any virtues or a good side. Yes, he does. Think back to your courtship days. Would you have been attracted to him if he didn't have virtues or a good side? You'll be surprised as you do your first assignment this week just how many virtues your husband does have. Often what appear to be a man's faults are really hidden virtues. The husband who seems lazy at home, for instance, may be putting all of his energies into his employment outside the home to provide for his family. A rude, offensive man is often of high caliber, but not valued by his boss or his wife. A tense, moody man, or a heavy smoker, is often in a stressful job unsuited to his talents and temperament. The forgetful, thoughtless man is often a deep, intelligent thinker with his mind on more important matters. Many alcoholics are sensitive men, trying to blot out guilt and shame. F.W. promises you thrilling rewards when you accept your husband as he is. His response is likely to be deeply moving. You may be lifting a terrible burden he has carried around for years. As women, we hold the key to unlocking the goodness in our man. Therefore, it is required of us first to forgive him. Then we must trust him and allow him complete freedom. Personal growth comes only through freedom. We must not restrict our husband or cling too much to him. It makes him feel trapped. We only do it because we fear losing his love, but he will be far more attracted to us when we maintain an air of freedom, mystery, and self-confidence, just as we did during courtship. However, we must never give him the impression that we do not need him. We need to be an elusive, free spirit, yet dependent on him for our support and protection. Can you understand what I mean? This is natural feminine behavior when we have no fear of losing a man's love. After all, we don't restrict or cling to our fathers, do we? Why? Because we feel secure in their love. The relationship we have with our pets, such as a cat or dog, also illustrates this principle. Our pets are free spirits, yet they depend on us for support. And because of this freedom of spirit, we love them more deeply, don't we? True love can never be forced. True love requires freedom. If your man should ever use his freedom to mistreat you or neglect you in any way, secret number 10 will show you how to stand up to him and gain his respect. No man can deeply love a woman who allows him to mistreat her or use her as a doormat. Now let's return again to Sonia's question. Will a man improve if we stop trying to change him? In answer to this, I say, if you live all 10 laws of fascinating womanhood, your man's major faults will tend to disappear. He will become a finer and more noble man. I've seen it happen time and time again. But you must allow him complete freedom to live his life as he sees fit, just so long as he supports you and is faithful to you. You won't become a doormat. Just be patient and allow time for fascinating womanhood to work. Old habits take time to change. Our time is almost up. Now I'm going to hand you a list of your 3 assignments for this lesson. I don't pretend they'll be easy, but they do produce exciting results. On the back of the page, you will see a list of masculine virtues to help you with assignment 1. Angela took her copy and began to read with interest. and we'll continue in the next video.